Good evening. As the Vice Chairman of the Hartford Board of Education, I hereby call to order the October 17th, 2023 regular meeting. If you have eyes, you can see that we don't have all of our board members here present with us, but I just want to make everyone aware that we will have quorum, as there will be board members that will be on Zoom and board members traveling in due to some of the traffic. But I do not want to hold the meeting up any longer and respect everyone's time, but I believe that we can start public comment while we wait for the rest of our board members. But please be aware and let it be known that there are board members on line behind me. I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present and to our television viewers. The board, superintendent, and I are pleased that you have joined us. We celebrate achievement, review information, and make policy decisions related to the effective operation of the Hartford Public Schools. This is a regular meeting, and all items that will be discussed or voted on this evening have been posted as required by state law. As the Hartford Board of Education, we are here to set goals, listen to reports of the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, and personnel appointments, and make policy for the district. We are not here to make management decisions or solve the problems of individuals. Management is the responsibility of the superintendent. The monthly meetings of the board are open to the public. They are the time when the board conducts its business of governing the school system in a public arena. The regular meetings are not meetings with the public. Therefore, comments from the audience will be confined to the time designated for the public to address the board. Decorum and courtesy are important elements in effective public meetings. Please silence your cell phones or communication devices and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that proceedings be accurately recorded, I may have to ask for order periodically should noise begin to interfere with our recording capabilities. I am pleased that you have taken the time this evening to join us. We are very proud of this school system and thank you for your interest in the Hartford Public Schools. Now, this will be read in Spanish.
Buenas noches. El vicepresidente de la Junta de Educación de Hartford ha llamado a orden esta reunión ordinaria de la Junta del 17 de octubre 2023. Damos una cálida bienvenida a todas las personas presentes y a nuestros televidentes. La Junta y la Superintendente se complacen que se han unido a nosotros para celebrar logros, revisar información y tomar decisiones relacionadas con el funcionamiento efectivo de las escuelas públicas de Hartford. Esta es una reunión ordinaria y todos los asuntos que serán discutidos o votados en esta tarde han sido notificados como lo requiere la ley estatal. Como Junta de Educación de Hartford, estamos aquí para establecer metas, escuchar los informes de la superintendente, aprobar los presupuestos, contratos y nombramientos de personal y establecer normas para el distrito. No estamos aquí para tomar decisiones administrativas o resolver problemas individuales. La administración es la responsabilidad de la superintendente. Las reuniones mensuales de la Junta están abiertas al público. Son el momento en que la Junta lleva a cabo su tarea de gobernar el sistema escolar en un espacio público. Las reuniones regulares no son reuniones con el público. Por lo tanto, los comentarios de la audiencia se limitarán al tiempo designado para el público dirigirse a la Junta. El decoro y la cortesía son elementos importantes en reuniones públicas eficaces. Por favor, silencie sus teléfonos celulares o dispositivos de comunicación y absténganse de hablar mientras otros están hablando. Ya que es mandato legal de que los procedimientos sean grabados con precisión, es posible que tengamos que pedir orden periódicamente si el ruido interfiere con nuestras capacidades de grabación. Nos complace que se haya tomado el tiempo esta tarde para unirse a nosotros. Estamos muy orgullosos de este sistema escolar y les damos gracias por su interés en las escuelas públicas de Hartford. Y si alguien aquí necesita interpretación al español, por favor levante la mano y la intérprete le ayudará en este momento.
We'll now move on to public comment, and we're going to have Board Member Tyrone read our statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We as the board, in collaboration with the superintendent and district leadership, are committed to cultivating a culture of excellence at all levels of Hartford Public Schools. We thank you for taking time to attend tonight's board meeting. We appreciate you coming out to learn more about Hartford Public Schools and for sharing your thoughts and concerns. We have established a protocol to track and respond to concerns raised. We want you to know that we will take your concerns seriously, and to that end, staff will follow up within 48 hours, if follow-up is required, via the preferred method of contact the speaker has indicated on the sign-up sheet. We follow this no-contact method of follow-up for the time being, adhering to safety protocols. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes to speak, and at the 2-minute mark, the bell will ring, letting you know that you have 1 minute left. At the second bell, please wrap up your comments. Now this will be read in Spanish.
Nosotros, la Junta de Educación, en colaboración con la superintendente y personal del distrito, estamos comprometidos a cultivar una cultura de excelencia en todos los niveles de las escuelas públicas de Hartford. Les agradecemos se haya tomado el tiempo para asistir a la reunión de la Junta esta noche. Les agradecemos su participación y su deseo de aprender más sobre las escuelas públicas de Hartford, y también por compartir sus pensamientos y preocupaciones. Nosotros tomamos sus preocupaciones muy seriamente y hemos establecido un protocolo para el seguimiento y respuesta a inquietudes planteadas. El personal hará un seguimiento dentro de las 48 horas si fuera necesario a través del método de contacto preferido que el orador haya indicado en la hoja de registro. Seguiremos este método de seguimiento sin contacto por el momento, adhiriéndonos a los protocolos de seguridad. Esa persona investigará su caso y se comunicará con usted dentro de las 48 horas. Les recordamos que tienen 3 minutos para hablar. Cuando han pasado 2 minutos, el timbre sonará, dejándole saber que le queda 1 minuto. Al segundo sonido, por favor, termine sus comentarios. Our first public speaker is Jonah Weidman, or Weidman Jonah.
Evening,
Good evening.
Dr. Torres, board, Dr. Ferguson, everyone that I haven't mentioned or named, good evening to you. My name is Jonah Weidman, and I'm here on behalf of a school playground. I'm from Capital Prep Magnet School, and we have been trying our best to get a playground for many years, and I've been there for almost 14 years. Do me a favor, close your eyes 1 second. Just close your eyes, put your hands up, throw your legs out. Imagine the wind is blowing in your face and you're swinging back and forth, back and forth. I mean, how does that feel to you? Is that letting some of the frustration and weariness out of you? Well, children have the same kind of frustration, hard days, tension, just like adults. And today would be a perfect day to take a child to a playground. Although a school playground may seem like fun, an array of benefits from children spending time and other kids using playground equipment, the positive effects of a school playground go far beyond obvious ones, like physical exercise. Playgrounds can usually provide essential experiences and develop development for children in areas as diverse as social skills, creativity, problem solving, and reasoning, and more. The benefits that a simple trip to the playground can provide are often more profound and far-reaching than those that even we can imagine. A playground is something where a child can explore, they can use their imagination, they can become courageous by just climbing up the steps on a slide and looking up high at areas that they've never seen before, like the top of a tree, or maybe even closer to the sky, or even just getting down and maybe getting on the platform and having instruments to play for those children who may be autistic or have some kind of disabilities and they like music other than, and maybe not sliding or swinging or anything like that. A playground has so many benefits for our children, and I hope that you will be encouraged and able to give us the playground that Capital Prep so deserve. Our children deserve a playground just like all other children have in their school system. Thank you so much for your time and listening.
Otuko Amate.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Otuko Amate. I'm from Capital Prep. I'm 11 and I'm in 7th grade. So I'm willing to have a better playground for my younger siblings. And I'm impressed with the schools for its academic experience compared to my former school. And I'm hoping they have a better playground for the kids and my younger siblings, so they can have like better playgrounds for just like other schools.
Edmund Amate. Oh, he's on. Okay. I'll circle back if he's here at the end. Michael Downs.
Good evening, board members. My name is Michael Downs. I'm a citizen of Hartford. I live at 74 Rosemont Street. Tonight I'm going to be speaking on something I spoke about maybe 6 months ago, and about education, poverty, crime, and housing. Tonight I'm going to speak on poverty and education. It seems that we have a problem with our housing here in Hartford. With 65 to 70% of the city being at the poverty level or below the poverty level or just above it, the working poor, and 90% of those poor people are children that go to the Hartford Public Schools. There's a movement by people who live outside the city to buy property in the city and to either raise the property or renovate it for their own purposes and move the people that presently live in the property, the poor, out. And their thinking is to move them out of the city. Well, that doesn't happen. That's something that's called regentrification, and all it will do is create in the city a new group of homelessness. And so not only are 90% of the children in the Hartford Public Schools poor, but many are homeless as well. And more will become homeless. And this is regentrification. It will not work now. It will not work. It didn't work 50 years ago. Didn't work 40 years ago. Didn't work 20 years ago. And it's not going to work now. So we got to make up our mind. The next mayor, the next city council, and the next board of education has got to concern themselves with more housing for the poor. The second thing I want to speak about is WISH, renovation of WISH School, elementary school. That is the school that's in my neighborhood, and it's a community school. I understand that instead of renovating the present building, the new plan is to renovate it from the ground up anew. And the only thing I can say about it is that we don't want to lose an auditorium, which is the community uses. We don't want to lose a gymnasium, which the community uses. And I was told that it's probably true that it's less expensive to build a new building than it is to renovate the old building with all modern equipment in it. That type, I think I support the new plan for WISH School. Thank you.
Ray Wiley. Tia Ferguson.
Hi, my name is Dr. Kitsa Ferguson, and I am the very proud principal of Capital Prep. I came here tonight, obviously, we're going to talk about the playground opportunity at Capital Prep, but I wanted to have an opportunity to provide some context to Capital Prep and why does Capital Prep not have a playground. And so many of you may know or may not know, Capital Prep came into existence in 2005. We were located in the community college, Capital Community College, as a 612 school coming out of a CONCAP type setup for high school students, first generation college students. And so when we had the pleasure of moving into our new home of 1304 Main Street, we were designed as a 612 school, so there was no need for a playground. However, in 2011, we decided to expand down to include pre-K through 5, and we were already in the building, and the building had already gone through complete renovation. And so with adding the new 7 grades onto the school, we didn't have a playground. We have been extremely innovative in providing creative play opportunities for our students. As part of our learner expectations, we want to have a play space that is collaborative, that allows kids to problem solve, allows kids to be empathetic and have diverse experiences that extend beyond the classroom. And so we call that area Classroom Without Walls, where they are continuing to learn and innovate in different ways. We have this wonderful opportunity now through the SIG grant to be able to put a playscape in place, a play space in place. It's not a typical type of playground with one big unit that has swings and slides, but it is a collection of equipment and product that we feel like really uplifts the theme of the school of social justice and really calls into play our learner expectations of kids being able to collaborate and problem solve and do some research and communicate with each other, develop empathy, and ultimately become pillars of knowledge. And so I thought it was important before you all take a vote on whether or not we be able to move forward with the playscape to provide that context of why we're in the situation and why we're now in this situation tonight to be able to resolve a really critical development issue for our students. We do believe in developing the whole child, and part of that, and in the whole Classrooms Without Walls design of the school, we think that the play area will help to really provide our students an opportunity to have experiences that, as Ms. Weidman said, move beyond just the physical play, but really create an inclusive place, an inclusive space that addresses the needs of the whole child. And so thank you for receiving us tonight. Thank you, Capital Prep community, for being here, coming out to speak, and we hope that you would give serious consideration to allowing us to have a play space moving forward. Thank you.
Joshua Bouchard.
Good evening. My name is Joshua Bouchard. I teach 7th grade social studies at McDonough Middle School, and I come here representing the 7th grade team and my fellow teachers. Last academic school year, the 7th grade of McDonough was overfilled from the beginning of the school year well into December. Central office was notified of class overages by administration multiple times, the first of which was sent out in August prior to the school year commencing. However, the issue was not fixed by the contracted mid-October deadline, and as a result, the 7th grade team began filing for class overages. That is over 28 students per class for each student. HFT was also given these copies as well, and the issue was not fully resolved until mid-December of 2022. Per contract, each of the core classroom teachers who filed these overages are owed compensation for each class that was over the contracted 28. As of October 17th, today, 2023, the following academic year, this has only been fractionally paid out. In our last paycheck, I only received payment for one class as opposed to the 6 that were sent in. The expectation communicated to us by HFT was that the payout would be in one lump sum. And as I said, I only received $516. That's not nearly what I thought. This is incomplete and not what was discussed, and me and my team are upset, discouraged, and disheartened that this process has dragged on for as long as it has. As a classroom teacher, I find that it's important to rely on my team and my building for supports that are given to me. When we have 30 plus students in a class, that's the exact opposite. Administration had reached out to central office in August of last year before the year commenced to alert them of these overages, and the issue wasn't fully addressed until the classes became almost unmanageable. A similar issue is taking place at McDonough this year with our 6th grade team, and again, administration notified central office on several occasions, beginning in July, prior to the year starting. Yet enrollment was left open until only recently this month. No less than 3 of the 4 6th grade classes are over-enrolled as of right now. My question that I bring to you now is how can we best prevent these issues from happening before they do? Our teachers are overworked, and our students deserve to have the best classrooms that they can, and that frankly can't happen if our requests are going unanswered. I implore you for your help, and I hope you have open minds. Thank you for your time.
Brett Hutchins.
Good evening. My name is Everett Hutchins. I am one of the assistant principals at Capital Prep, also a parent of 2 students at Capital Prep as well. And before I say my piece, my daughter would like to say a few words in her support for the Capital Prep Playscape.
Hello, my name is Trinity. I'm in 2nd grade, and we want a playground because we have a field, and all we do is run around, and we want something to play with.
So both as an employee at the school, an administrator, and as a parent, as Dr. Ferguson had pointed out earlier, we are completely committed in watching the whole child and supporting the whole child. I think that the opportunity that lies before us is a part of that commitment. I think we owe our children at the school and that opportunity to have this item that's going to help to support their growth. I think that this is an easy win, and in coming out of the pandemic and my time here at Hartford, which was joining the school district, in that time when we spent so much time separated and pushed away from one another, to have the opportunity to put something in place that's going to help to bring us all together, I really do think is an easy win, and look forward to having this playscape here, and I really hope that it's taken into serious consideration and hopefully approved and move forward so that way we can bring this to our students at Capital Prep. They absolutely deserve it. Thank you.
Edmund Amate.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, parents, teachers, and students. I stand before you today to address a fundamental need at our Capital Prep Magna School, the necessity of an innovative playground for our kids. We often hear about the importance of education in shaping a child's future, and we rightfully place great emphasis on our classrooms and curriculum. However, it's equally essential to recognize the pivotal role that a well-designed and innovative playground plays in a child's development. Playgrounds are not just spaces for frivolous fun. They are platforms for learning and growth. A thoroughly designed playground can provide an enriching environment that enhances physical, social, and emotional development. Why do we need one at Capital Prep? Because our kids are growing up in a rapidly changing world. Our school's mission, which Capital Prep's school mission, is to prepare them, not just for today, but for the challenges and opportunities of tomorrow. So I believe an innovative playground can serve as an extension of Capital Prep's curriculum and fostering skills like problem solving, creativity, and critical thinking. Imagine a playground where technology is seamlessly integrated, offering opportunities for hands-on learning. Picture interactive installations that will encourage our students to explore concepts in science, technology, engineering, and math. Think of spaces where environmental awareness and sustainability are instilled as they interact with renewable energy sources, right? I can tell you without a doubt that my kids come home oftentimes with dirty clothes, dirty shoes, and we gotta constantly have to keep them clean every day for school. I personally believe that it's about time we give them a very decent playground where they can actually play and learn without having to keep getting themselves really dirtied up every single time. Without further ado, I'd like to say that an innovative playground is not just a desire but a necessity for our kids. It represents an investment in their well-rounded development and their readiness to face an ever-evolving world. So I'd say let's unite, advocate for change, and ensure that our kids have the playground they deserve, a playground that embodies innovation, inclusivity, and endless potential. Thank you for your attention, and let's embark on this journey together to create a brighter future for our kids at Capital Prep. Thank you.
Our last speaker is John Walton.
Good evening, Deputy Superintendent, distinguished board members, and the superintendent in her absence, and good evening to the audience as well. First, to Capital Prep and the parents, the students, administration, faculty members, we are in that fight with you. We are rooting for you to get the playground you desire because we understand how that will help the students there and help the community of Capital Prep. I would also like to thank the Chief of Community Partners who is partnered with us in a Halloween celebration for our community that will be free, that ASME is hosting. For the community, all are invited. To the mayor candidates, and excuse me, board members and officials, I'll be speaking to more than one audience tonight. But for the mayor candidates that are listening, that are present, you will be inheriting, whoever gets office, a school system that has great potential but needs some fixes. And we're going to be discussing some of those fixes. As you all know, I come here all the time, every month, and I speak to you guys about what is needed in our school system. And sometimes I speak very general about issues, but tonight I'm going to point out two exact issues. So I always like to start with the things that are positive first. I think that partnership with Eli and Patrick, board members, is very crucial because that is teaching financial literacy to our community and our students and leadership to our students, which is something they're going to need in their future as a vital tool to be progressive. We would also like for you guys to help us with extending the youth program internship in the trades with our trades personnel so that we will be able to, again, develop our students for real world jobs and have the ability to a brighter future and the ability to afford an extended education if they so desire. Now, there are some issues we have to talk about. And I'll use this story and analogy first. When the notion of defunding the police came nationally, many people were nervous about that notion, and there was a lot of disagreement and discussion about that notion. And one of the reasons that many people from urban communities had the notion of defunding police, which really didn't mean taking the police funds away, but one of the hesitations or reservations about that situation was that we saw many police officers and law enforcement, not many, but a few bad apples, let me say that were exercising their authority incorrectly. And what the community was asking is that the good police officers don't subscribe to Team Blue, but subscribe to truth and honesty and integrity. It is good people who have to police bad apples. So I'm going to draw a parallel to what I feel is happening in our school system. There are, and it's, in many meetings I get told that teams and all that kind of stuff. We're all a part of the Hartford community team. Would you agree? We're about the students and the community. That's the team we play on. We don't play on the management team. We don't play on the labor team. We play on what best benefits the Hartford school system for its students and its community. And although we have a team approach in how we operate, there are some apples that are bad within that team. And we don't have to get rid of the entire team or get rid of the entire process, but we do have to make changes where they are necessary. And we have to identify who is not pulling their weight, who is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and who should be accountable in the areas of accountability. So I want to start with one thing that I think I've lost trust in. The harassment complaint process. It's really difficult to really be honest and say that we're going to pick a team of a committee to make a decision on complaints that are internal. Because I find it very difficult for people who are colleagues that share coffee together, lunch together, maybe sometimes even breakfast or a meeting, to then have to make a decision on their colleague. I believe that decision should be offered to a third-party committee that can be objective, that is not labor side, and that is not management side, but is objective and different from both. I think that we need to implement that because I think that gives a fair decision on what should be happening in our system in that process. The other process, and let me offer this to the community that's watching. I'm really serious about Hartford community. I live here. My kids go here. I'm very serious. You know that, Vice Chair, how serious I am. The mayor candidates who have met with me know that. So I'm not going anywhere. This is where I live. Dr. Claude Anderson said that a thriving community has 5 staples: education, media, justice, political, and economics. I'm here to discuss some of the economic portion of it and the educational portion of it. The politics, the justice, and all that we'll take care as we make our votes. But with that being said, this is how we move our community forward. People who are watching, citizens of Hartford, taxpayers of Hartford, these entities and these systems are accountable to you. You have to start standing up and you have to be brave. Yes, there will be a target on your back, but that comes with making your community great. And we have to start making our school system accountable for these processes and especially how we spend our money. The other point I would like to raise, and I'll be very quick, is our procurement process. Board members, I would like you and the community of Hartford, the mayor candidates, and potentially the next mayor, look into that procurement process, study that procurement process, and require that the vendors who take million-dollar contracts from our city and our taxpayers require that they give students internships and they give the community members of this community job opportunities, because all of your money is going there and none of it is being reinvested into our city. We have to look at this process, and we also have to look at how this process operates. I have a letter here that was sent to me in response to me raising this issue in 2022. And if you can tell, I got highlights and notes all over it. So if any of you want to ask me questions about this process, I would love to have a discussion with you, because millions of dollars are going down the drain through this process and are being misappropriated through this process. And I would really like for you to really highlight this, because now it's time to save our city, it's time to save our taxpayers, it's time to save our students, it's time to save our community. Thank you.
And that concludes public comment.
I want to thank each and every one of you who came out to listen and to support our public comment. And if we could just quickly have all the students and young people stand up very quickly who came out. Yes, stand up, stand up, stand up. All the ones up there, all you up there, stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Can we just give them a hand for sitting through this, what some adults can't even sit through, please? Thank you all for coming, and appreciate each and every one of you up there. Just quickly want to recognize, a point of personal privilege, recognize Ms. Helen Nixon, who is the chair of the Northeast NRZ. Will you wave your hand so everybody knows who you are? Thank you for being here with us as well. We'll now move on to the report of the chair. And as you can see, the chair is not here this evening. But we want to remind you that you can find the superintendent's report, full committee reports, as well as all attachments and videos in the meeting's agenda on board docs. All committee and workshop meetings are live streamed as well as viewable after the meeting. The YouTube links are saved in each meeting's agenda on board docs. And I truly want to encourage the community to really engage and to be a part of the committee meetings, because that's where the work happens. And what you're getting here is kind of the final sample of what has been discussed in committee meetings. So I want to encourage the community to view the meetings and read the reports when possible. If you have any questions, all right, please, a lot of people in the community come to me and say, well, I don't know how to. Listen, contact Christina Santiago, okay? Please contact Christina Santiago, our board liaison, at csantiago@hbwe.org. hartfordschools.org. Please raise your hand, Ms. Santiago. All right? If you have not reached out to her, you have not taken the process seriously to understand how to engage the way this board engaged. We will now move on to the business agenda. And as I stated, the superintendent also is not here tonight to give her report, but we do have Mr. Paul Foster here with us, and you can read her report on board docs. We'll now move on to the business agenda. Item 4.1, approval of minutes from 9/19/23. Is there a motion to approve minutes of the September 19th, 2023 regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Appreciate you. Any abstentions? All right. The ayes have it. Motion moves. We'll now move on to 4.2, acceptance of funds and contract approval, School-Based Healthcare Alliance Grant Cure MD. Motion that the Hartford Board of Education authorize the superintendent to accept funds in the amount of $1 million. What is that? $107,473 from the School-Based Health Alliance grant. Furthermore, that the Hartford Board of Education authorize the superintendent to execute a contract with Cure MD for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th, 2024 at an amount not to exceed $116,000.93. Do I have a motion?
Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Why are we accepting funds and authorizing and voting on a contract all in the same? I don't ever remember that being, maybe, I'm not saying it didn't happen, I'm just saying I don't remember, because accepting funds is easy.
Yes, that's what we
Voting on contract with period, that's kind of like a separate item. Do we know why?
Mr. Chair, can we take the consideration of just breaking into parts and just accept the funds and then proceed on to talk about the contract and accepting the contract? Can you just break it into two motions?
I certainly don't have an issue doing so. Give me 1 second. Please let me consult with our attorney. All right, thank you. Please forgive that moment. Just wanted to make sure we execute this properly. Thank you for your point of order, Board Member Brody. I will restate the motion as best as I can to make sure we get this properly. Motion that the Hartford Board of Education authorize the superintendent to accept funds in the amount of $107,473 from the School-Based Health Alliance grant. Do I have a motion?
Accept the grant.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly second. Are we ready for the question, or is there any unreadiness? Board Member Walker?
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'm going to see if we can modify this motion to see if we can combine. If you look at the proposal, there's a second chunk of money we need to accept. I'm going to see if we can modify to accept both the School-Based Health Alliance grant as well as the SBHA grant for $8,620. I am thinking we can combine and accept both of these in one vote.
Well, there is a motion on the floor at the moment, so that will
What is the 80? Okay, I'll stand corrected. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, now that I read it more clearly, Ms. Santiago is correct. What I see now, Mr. Chair, is that this grant, the full contract, is a combination of this grant that we will accept and some reimbursements that we will receive. So I'll stand corrected.
Yes, that's my understanding. Mr. Foster, do you have anything to add to this?
No, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Any more discussion? All right. All in favor to accept the funds in the amount of $107,473 from the School-Based Health Alliance grant, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Are there any nays? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Now to the second part of this motion, which I believe I understand what is happening. Now we want to accept the terms of the agreement. Is that accurate to my board members? Or what might be helpful if you just state the motion for me? That would be helpful.
I wouldn't say accept. We're going to vote on the contract.
Correct. For QMD.
Okay. Motion that the Hartford Board of Education accept the contract with CureMD for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th, 2024 at an amount not to exceed $116,093. Please say aye.
We need a motion, Chair. I think the
please second the
contract
motion,
is the
my
contract amount 123,233. Am I not?
Mr. Foster, please elaborate.
Yeah, there was a change. So in the Finance Committee, we did have a dollar figure of $123,233 for the contract. What happened is because CureMD is also a vendor for the City of Hartford's Department of Health and Human Services, we actually received a discount that we were not aware of at the time of the Finance Committee meeting. So the actual dollar value of the contract would be $116,093.
Do I have a motion?
Seconded.
Is there any more discussion? Any unreadiness?
I do have a question.
Yes.
There's a subsequent yearly cost. Are we approving that as part of this motion, or will that be brought up when it's time to renew?
Mr. Foster?
Yes, that would be brought up when it's time to renew.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more unreadiness? I just want to recognize my board members on Zoom. Just let me know if they have a hand raised or anything like that. All right. Not seeing any. All in favor of accepting the contract with QMD for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th, 2024, at an amount not to exceed $116,093, please say aye.
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 Are there any nays? Nay. Recognize any extensions? All right, motion carries.
The chair,
Yes, Ms. Brody, you're recognized.
when we're voting on the contract, it would be helpful if we're describing what the contract entails, like as a part of what we're voting on. That would be helpful.
Yeah, that's fair, and Mr. Foster is here to elaborate on that. All right. I believe we have another motion on the floor that the Hartford Board of Education authorize the superintendent to accept funds in the amount of 100. Hold on, I believe that's the same motion. We're going to move on to item 4.3. Contract approval of Compan Playground. Motion that the Hartford Board of Education authorize the superintendent to execute a contract with Compan Playground for the term outlined in the contract ending in June 30th, 2024, at an amount not to exceed $181,380. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All right, this is moved and properly second. Deputy Superintendent, the floor is yours.
Good evening, thank you. So the contract you have in front of you, again, for $181,000 is for a playground at Capitol Prep. And the playground, really the purpose behind this is, as you heard earlier this evening, when Capitol Prep was opened, it was opened as a 6 to 12 school. Eventually, pre-K through 5th were added, and there has not been a playground, even though the pre-K to 5th was added, I believe, in the 2011-2012 school year. And so the school has been diligent in thinking about how they can access funding.
Hold on, Mr. Foster. We're going to give you my microphone. Turn your microphone off. Thank you.
Sorry about that. Okay, so the school is using funding from their Scaling Equity Innovation Grant. So that is ESSER ARP funding, and that was funding that was provided to schools to make choices strategically about what would be beneficial to the school community. And as you heard this evening, one of the ways the school community wanted to use their Scaling Equity Innovation Grant funding was in providing this playground. In terms of the procurement of this contract, Compan is part of a state of Connecticut cooperative contract, so there's an existing state contract that we're able to purchase under, where the pricing has already been vetted through the state. And we are excited for the opportunity to provide this resource to the students and the community at Capitol Prep. And we do have Dr. Ferguson and a representative from Compan here if there are questions from the board.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. I want to open it up to my colleagues for any questions. Mr. Walker, I see your light is on, so I want to acknowledge you.
Well, since we've all been talking about the playground, I wouldn't mind hearing the Compan representative describe how wonderful the playground is going to be and that it's going to change our lives.
Better? Yes, good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Summer Berube, and I've been with Compan now for 8 years. I can tell you that we went through a lot of different equipment with Dr. Ferguson regarding, what she was looking for, what matched the school goals with the children and the students, and the equipment is fabulous. In fact, does everyone have the design in front of them? Good. Okay. So without taking too much time, I'll just share that there's a lot of opportunity for collaborative play on the units. They're equipment that many students haven't had the chance to play on yet in Hartford, so that's something unique that we're bringing to the school. A lot of graduated challenge, which appeals to a school setting because you'll have the kindergartners on the equipment, and it'll still have opportunity for growth in different types of play depending on how many kids are on the structures and how the students are approaching the play from all angles, and that will grow with them as they get older and move throughout the school. So I would encourage all of the board members to stop by after it's installed, hopefully, and to play, because you never stop playing, even as an adult. Any questions?
Yes, the one maybe serious question is about maintainability. You've installed these. What's a typical kind of maintainability budget that a school needs to maintain this fabulous playground in its pristine kind of condition?
Sure. So it's recommended that you have regular playground inspections done, and that really is dependent. I don't know what the current process is in the city of Hartford. If you have somebody who holds a certification of a playground safety inspector, then that's something that the city might have someone internally that can do that. Otherwise, we would encourage the school to just, continuously, as they're out there, the teachers are going to notice if anything is off. But those regular inspections should be taking place annually, and if you were to outsource that, you're looking at roughly $500 to $700 a year. Again, that just has to do with your regular maintenance that should be taking place on all your playgrounds. And then with the equipment that's out at the site, the biggest thing that they're going to need to maintain is roughly, depending on usage, would be like the swing clasps and hangers. And those will need to be replaced. There's just a little pin in the swing, and it's very low cost, about $30 each.
Thank you very much. My only feedback is, since Ms. Whiteman had me do a mindfulness exercise, I am requesting that the Board of Ed members are invited to the ribbon cutting for this playground when it's approved.
Compan's equipment is known for its durability, and so it certainly is made for adults to be on the playground with the students, so we would encourage that, and there's a lot of research behind the positive interaction that adults have, how that impacts the classroom and discipline later on. So let's do it.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. I believe Dr. Schmerling, you have your light on.
Yeah, this may be more for the administration of the school. Do we have any special needs children in the school that would be using this playground?
Yes, we do. We have a very diverse population, so we have students with physical needs as well as students with other disabilities that the design of the playground really is inclusive so that there is something for everyone to really be able to grow and enjoy with their like peers.
Thank you. I just wanted to be sure that it is inclusive and that children with disabilities have access to it. And typically there's a matting that cushions potential fall. Is that part of the design?
It is part of the design.
Great.
It's not the rubber mulch, it's the... No, it's regular wood chips. Yes, it's the wood chips that we're putting down.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just want to record, any other board members have any questions on Zoom or? Not hearing any questions. I do have a question, and it's more of a comment. One, I really appreciate the work that Capital Prep does. I've been very impressed as being a board member going to the graduations, and the students that you all produce are great. I'm a social justice person, and I enjoy hearing the various projects, and I really enjoy how you give every student something as they leave the school. They get some kind of recognition, and I really appreciate that, and I always wanted to say that to you. My question is, with my community organizer hat on, there's several playgrounds that I've organized parents around, just with the safety on the weekends, with adults hanging out, with various activities. And so my question is, how do you plan on, you can't be there 24/7, but how do you plan on securing the playground so it's not a place for overage teenagers or adult-like teenagers to come and kind of chill on it and do what they do?
Yeah, great question. First, thank you very much, and thank you for attending our graduations. It is the highlight of the year, past the Social Justice Conference. No, the Social Justice Conference is the highlight of the year, so please, everyone, please come out and enjoy the students and their projects. The playscape is going to be in an enclosed area. It is already gated in. We don't lock it on the weekend, but we have very minimum traffic. It's an amphitheater setup, so we have a stage already built in that space that's been there probably for the last 7 years or so. It's not a high traffic area. It's tucked into the back of the school, but it is a gated space.
Understood. And I have not been able to be or know where again, I've parked in the parking lot of Capitol Prep. So can you just give me a context of where this is going to be?
Yes. So the back of the building, the biggest space in the back of the building actually is owned by the city. It's a big green field, but there's an enclosure that butts up against the back of the building on the side where the gym is. Mm-hmm. So if you're coming out of the gym foyer out to the back, it butts up against the building, and it's, like I said, it's gated in. It is, how many square feet? Yes, that many square feet.
OG square feet, got you.
OG square feet. Imagine that while your eyes are closed and you're swinging on the swing. Mm-hmm. It is pushed up against the building, but it's in the back of the school. You come up the back driveway. We have a back driveway that leads up to our field house area, the gym area, and the playscape will be right there.
Yeah, appreciate it. And my final question is, I'm a dad, and I have a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and we frequent playgrounds. And I heard a dad talk. I think he left about his kids coming home dirty, and I didn't understand because my kids just come home dirty, period. So if you could just put that statement in context, what does he mean? Like, what is the alternative of not having a playground? What does that look like?
So we have several play units. We have cars out there for students. We have scooters. We have tunnels that they can crawl through. It's regular play that you would see in a neighborhood, the type of equipment that you might see in a neighborhood, but commercial grade. And yeah, the kids are running, a lot of running, and I think Trinity spoke to the amount of running they do out there. And it's really, like I said, commercial grade neighborhood type equipment that they're playing with, but they do have equipment for gross motor skills. They have equipment for fine motor skills. They have spaces where they can collaborate and, innovate with their play. Teachers often bring science things that they're doing in the classroom out into that space during recess time so that they can continue to have extended experiences with the learning. So there's just a variety of things out there, but and those things change based on the time of year, based on what's happening with the curriculum in the classrooms, but it's not fixtures. They're not fixtures out there.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from my colleagues? Ms. Brody?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I think with us having a mayoral election, I think as we no longer need school buildings and we turn them over to the city, I think it's a great opportunity to talk to whomever is going to be the incoming mayor to finally give some space to the school that the school has been using, because there's always a conversation about some development. And if development happens on this space, it's so close to the school that it's like right there. So it's kind of like always in limbo, like, oh, are they going to use that space for something else? But I think, in my opinion, a responsible thing is to, as we give property back to the city, like we did with Simpson Waverly, and I was at a meeting and I saw a proposal of some housing that's going to go up on the Clark Street building, and we haven't even released that back to the city. So the city already planning for that. So we're giving spaces back to the city, and I think it will be an appropriate thing for the city to finally give this green space that is like up on the school, because it's where the children play, for them to have that. So those who are close to these candidates and will be engaging the new mayor, I think that's the appropriate thing to do. That's all.
Thank you for your comment, and thank you for coming back, Board Member Walker, as I'm about to call for this vote. I'll move on with it so we can let you handle your business, man. Are there any more questions? Just want to make sure. All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
The motion on the floor is that the Hartford Board of Education authorize the superintendent to execute a contract with Compton Playground for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th, 2024 at an amount not to exceed $181,380. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any nays? Any abstention? Motion carries. Congratulations. Play on. And best believe I'll be there with my kids tearing it up. All right. Item 4.4, contract approval, Adams and Knight. Motion that the Hartford Board of Education authorize the superintendent to execute a contract with Adams and Knight for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th, 2024 at an amount not to exceed $300,000. Do I have a motion? It's been moved. Is there a second? It's been properly moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. It's been properly moved and second. Mr. Foster.
Okay, so what you have in front of you is a contract proposed for Adams and Knight. This was really developed in partnership across the Office of Talent Management, Office of Enrollment and School Choice, and Office of Family Engagement and Community Partnerships. This is around marketing and communications for the Hartford Public Schools. And really, when you think about the purpose of this, it's to build, sorry, tripping over myself there. We want to build the fact that the district is a destination, both for staff and for students. And the way this contract was identified for Adams and Knight, this went through a competitive RFP process. We had 7 proposals that were received in response to this RFP. There was a selection committee that consisted of the Chief of Operations, Chief of Family and Community Partnerships, Chief of Talent Management, Executive Director of Marketing and Communications, as well as members of the Office of Enrollment and School Choice team, and 2 of our principals. So that was the committee that reviewed the 7 proposals. I also want to highlight that Adams and Knight successfully worked with the HPS Office of Talent Management in 22-23 on a campaign to target hiring certified teachers and non-certified staff in response to the challenges we were facing with our vacancy rate. That campaign successfully increased visibility of the Hartford Public Schools as a destination district for employment. And so Adams and Knight, the contract that you have in front of you, Adams and Knight will support Hartford Public Schools with strategy and branding, experiential and event marketing, social media, influencer marketing, video marketing, digital marketing, content marketing, and traditional advertising, paid media buys. And so the contract really includes both the creation of materials for marketing as well as the purchase of various forms of media to distribute that content. And so I do want to also highlight that that content that's created through this contract will exist beyond the contract. So there's the part of this contract that is 1 year in terms of making the media purchases, but there is the part of the contract that lives on beyond in terms of the content that's been created. And I also, the one other thing I want to highlight, and we do have Chief Davis Googe here available, and I think we have representatives from Adams and Knight as well available if there are questions relative to the contract or the selection process. But I also want to highlight that $150,000 of the funding for this contract, this is a not to exceed contract, so we're paying only for services received. $150,000 of this is coming from funding that we received from the Regional School Choice Office specifically to have a marketing campaign around attracting students into the Hartford Public Schools. That is what the funding is designated for. And so certainly happy to take questions, and if there are questions for Chief Davis Googe as well, or for Adams and Knight.
Want to open this opportunity up to my colleagues if they have questions. Mr. Walker, you're recognized.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess I'll ask whoever wants to speak on this topic. 70% of the contract is for marketing, media placements, and buying. Help me understand, what does that mean? Buying radio ads, TV ads? Can you kind of spell out what's in that basket of the 70%?
Good evening, all. I have here with me tonight Breem Noah, who is the Chief Strategy Officer for Adams and Knight, so I'll let her respond to that question.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you. So in terms of what the media is that's the question, what we would do to place the media and what kind of tactics are included. So what we do is we look at all of our target audience. There are multiple audiences. We do deeper research into the best way to reach them. And then from there, we put together a media strategy, and then we actually put together a media plan to show how we can reach. That would include digital marketing, banner ads, paid search, including geo-targeting of events. So a lot of digital marketing, radio advertising, out of home, and video marketing on YouTube, in addition to sponsorships. So really all ways to reach our target audiences, including potential staff, parents, families, and so on.
Thank you.
Board Member Brody.
Yes, so in committee, I struggled with this contract because, and it's not necessarily the delivery of what Adams and Knight has provided for us in other areas. It was how I think we aren't being able to nail down deliverables, right? And what I mean by that is, I was not a part of the workshop, but I did go back and watch it. And there was some discussions, and I only have, I'm only comparing the old contract we have, the contract we have right now, because we have a organization that has done work for us. So I find it difficult when we're unable to say exactly what we got. When we say we've gotten more clicks on Facebook and more applications, but I want to say maybe not quite a year ago, probably over a year ago, probably multiple times, I've asked the question, if we're paying for marketing in regards to hiring, and we are not asking applicants, how did you hear about us? When I buy eyeglasses, they want to know how I heard about them. No matter what you do, Facebook, it just pops up. You're not even buying anything, but they're asking your opinion on something because you're going to reinvest in good marketing. So for us as a school district, which I have asked in the past, for us to not ask, how did someone hear about us? Because you heard about us on Facebook, and Adams and Knight is marketing us on Facebook. We know that applicant came to us via our good investment in that marketing. So that's a simple question on our end, on our application. Everyone else is asking. I don't know why we are not asking, because when you say, because we've had a contract, we've gotten more applicants, we've gotten more hires, we filled this position, we're not asking them, okay, are our teachers, are our staff, are our principals, who someone else could be referring people. And we all know other schools, when they're seeking, I know at least with the struggle on the end of the paras for our special education students, they're doing their own out in the community trying to get people to apply to fill those positions. So we can't give credit to any entity if you're not asking the question. So when I see the proposal that was done by talent management and we're saying that, we really can't say that. So we're investing a lot of money. Anyone who pays attention to our meetings, we're passing contract by contract. But when we have the opportunity to nail down exactly and we don't, it makes me question. So that's where I am with, if someone does business with us, and for me to measure that is not just based on we got more applicants, because it's other moving parts on why we get more applicants. So that's not, it's not really a question, a question for Adams and Knight. This is a school district question as to why we are not asking those questions on the front end.
I see Dr. Curtis swiftly making her way. Good to see you.
Good evening, thank you. We do ask that question, so I can get you that data.
So I've been asking this question. So tonight, and I apologize beforehand. My elder, Joan Gibson, who recently passed from the NAACP, she said, when you're gonna say something hard, you first say with all due respect. So with all due respect, it's kind of insult to me because everybody know I want this information. My colleagues tired of me asking the same questions because they're never answered. So for you to say, which has been said multiple times before, you'll get me the information. But what you're not understanding is that information informs me on my vote. And this is done to me all the time. And it really, I feel it's a measure of disrespect at this point, because I make my decisions based off data, and I never have the data. And often, if anybody rewind any tapes from before, it's always said, we'll get you that data. Everybody know that's what I want. I've asked for it over and over again. But obviously, we're not going to get it tonight, so I can't support this contract.
Thank you, Ms. Brody. Would you like to respond?
I can respond. So I feel like the comment is directed at me, so I will personally say, for the Office of Talent Management, I apologize. I will get you the data. If it has been requested and it hasn't been received, then that's been an oversight on my part, given that I'm the chief of the department. So I will have the data forwarded. And again, publicly, I apologize. It was not on my radar to forward that data.
Thank you. Mr. Foster?
I also just want to make sure we're clear, too, that this contract is both for talent management, but it's also really important to highlight the fact that this contract is also supporting our marketing relative to the magnet schools and recruiting students into the district. And there is, I appreciate the point. There is a timeliness about engaging in this contract for purposes of meeting our timelines with RESCO in terms of our marketing.
Thank you. Board Member Walker.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, Mr. Foster, you've pointed out there's a $150,000 state operating grant that we get. So, perchance, if we don't approve this contract tonight, do we still get the 150?
So I'm going to have Chief Davis Gooch speak to that specifically, but I just want to, I mean, that is money that is for marketing, and I also want to emphasize that, right, the school choice season starts, I mean, Sherry, you can speak to the timeline more specifically than me, but there is an expectation from the state, 150,000 or not, that we are out there actively marketing our magnet schools to families.
Absolutely. So the choice period is going to open up, Ms. Palace, I have the date right, December 4th. And yes, the 150,000 is a part of a service agreement that Hartford Public Schools have engaged in with the Regional School Choice Office. It is the expectation that we run, I'm just going to say, a professional level marketing campaign for our school choice, as well as everyone is aware, we are competing with other operators within the greater Hartford region, and so it is very important that we engage in this process.
So let me target a follow-up question. So if perchance this isn't approved tonight, would your office and leadership then take and repackage this effort around $150,000 and maybe whatever you have in the cushions and come up with a skinny down marketing campaign? Because there could be another approach where we could accept the 150, just accept it, and then we just market to our heart's content with the 150. Is that a possibility, Chief Davis Gooch?
Yes, so as those dollars are a part of a service agreement, we will receive those dollars, but it certainly wouldn't be my recommendation for a team of our size to be able to manage and get the, I'm just going to use the words bang for the buck, right? There's something with using a professional agency as Adams and Knight. When we go out for the media buys, they will certainly get a better rate than we will.
Any other questions, Mr. Walker?
No.
Yes. Dr. Schmerling, the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with Ms. Brody that we need data to make decisions, and to be honest, we shouldn't have to ask. It should be proactively provided with any of these proposals. So I think that's something that we can do better as we go forward. Having said that, we've said as a priority, we want the visibility in the community for the great things that are happening in the Hartford school system, and we want to get that word out. And so, and I've worked with this firm before, and I know the caliber of and quality of their work. It starts with getting feedback from the constituents that we're trying to reach, and you can't really do that for 50% off. And so I'm going to say I'm going to support this and have confidence and trust that it will be done properly. But we do need the data, and I think going forward, making that a part of our proposal without even having to ask for it, just, you guys know that's what we want. So give it to us with the proposal. It would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Schmerling. I mean, I'm not going to pontificate why I'm supporting this. I think that Ms. Brody's point is valid, and I agree with Dr. Schmerling, so I'm not going to go back down that road. I think we're clear on what that is. But I'm also going to say that I'm very impressed with our marketing efforts. As someone who is in business and understands what marketing can do and it should do, but I also hear parents, you know, giving me reasons why they're taking kids out of Hartford Public Schools, and we have to do our due diligence to make sure that we are doing our part to market we have a very good product. I don't care what anyone says, we have a very good product here in Hartford Public Schools, and we have people who work hard and diligently every day to make sure that our students receive the high-class education that we're able to provide them. And just speaking here tonight to a young lady that was here who's over, I guess, elementary school, she said this is her passion. And I like hearing that from our staff members, because if it's not your passion, you shouldn't really be here. You have to have a love for this. And I think having that message put out into the community and the greater Hartford area only allows us the opportunity to draw more students into Hartford Public Schools. So I've always supported this contract. Obviously the neglect that has happened in information, that's one thing that we need to fix, but I'm certainly supporting this contract. Is there any other comments from our colleagues online?
I have a question.
Hold on, I'm hearing someone online. Christina, do you mind turning the screen on so we can at least see? No, it's not on, so we can at least see what's going on here. Go ahead. I believe someone on Zoom. You have the floor.
No, I want to say through you, Mr. Chair, that I don't have any additional comments. I agree and share the same sentiments of my colleagues.
Thank you.
Also, this is Kim Oliver. I have no comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Final comment, Ms. Brody.
Question. So with the magnet schools, we do a heavy advertisement. Sometimes it can even be described as suburban focused. I'm a parent of an 8th grader, so I'm wondering, what are we going to serve up for some of our transitioning families, even the families that are not transitioning? Because when she had her idea of the Hartford Public Schools she wanted to attend, Prince Tech visited her school, and now she's, oh, this and they doing, so now that's in her mind, but her school district is not at the current time. So what do we do to try to keep our parents in Hartford? And is that going to be encompassed in this?
I would say a major part of the campaign is around awareness. And so to your point, there is a piece of the marketing campaign that is magnet focused, but magnet focused for the greater Hartford region. Will you see ads out in the suburban towns? Yes, but those same ads play in the Hartford area as well. For our students who are currently in our schools, in our district schools, we want to make sure that they understand their trajectory into the next school. So part of last year's campaign was ensuring that a middle school student who is moving into a high school program has a postcard that comes to them every year that says, welcome to your high school, here's the information that you need to know for your feeder high school. So it's twofold. One is awareness and one is recruiting.
Follow up, Mr. Chair. So do we get, so we wait for a mailer to tell us what the feeder school is?
Absolutely not. We actually work with our school counselors in the building as well, who also works with the students there to share the information.
Okay, I don't know that we have a counselor, but I'm sure someone, I guess, is going to play that role, because I'm not aware of a feeder school, and I think the earlier the better. If Prince Tech is visiting and we're only in October, we have to get on it.
In the Office of Enrollment School team, they actually go out to every school as well and work with the students and share the options available to them. I think Ms. Noah wanted to add a comment.
So in addition to that, from a marketing standpoint, we're going to be using content marketing to be able to both reach those middle schoolers through social media to tell stories. So being able to share stories of high school students who are going to our Hartford Public Schools, because those become role models for them, and being able to showcase that through social media, the channels that they're on. So that'll be part of it. And then also how we engage parents on that same front. So it'll be like a audience campaign for that. So absolutely, that'll be part of it.
Thank you. The motion on the floor is that the Hartford Board of Education Authorize the superintendent to execute a contract with Adams and Knight for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th, 2024, at an amount not to exceed $300,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any nays?
Nay.
Recognize any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to working with you, and we expect excellence. Thank you. Moving on. Do you have a comment, sir? All right, moving on to item 4.5, approval. This is what we're all here for. 4.5, approval of the revised educational specifications to Wish Elementary School. Motion that the Hartford Board of Education accepts and approves the revised educational specifications for the renovation of Fred D. Wish School, dated October 16th, 2023, and authorizes submission of the documents to the State of Connecticut's Office of School Construction Grants and Review for purposes of securing a construction grant. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved twice, so I just need a second.
Second.
Appreciate you. All right, it's been moved and properly second. I'm going to throw it to the Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Foster.
Thank you. So we are here before you, and again, Chief Davis Googe is here, as well as we have representatives from the city, as well as our project manager on the WISH project. If there are questions, a draft design of the renovation of the WISH building was submitted to the state. With that draft design, we are required to provide cost estimates for the cost of renovation as well as the cost of building new. And so what came back, or what was submitted, by the city of Hartford to the state, was that the renovation cost estimate was $73,500,000. The new construction cost was $67,290,900. And so we received word, I should say the city received word on October 4th, that the project does not qualify for renovation of the existing building. So to proceed as a renovation, the requirements from the state are that the cost of renovation has to be less than the cost of building new. And obviously with those numbers I just cited, that is not the case. The cost to renovate the existing building was higher due to a couple things. One is the existing building is larger than what's needed for the projected enrollment of 465 students, as well as abatement that's necessary with any renovation of an existing building. And so the reason we're here before you tonight is that we have a deadline of October 31st to submit a grant revision to the state that includes the status change from renovation to new, and that has to include the revised educational specifications that we have in front of you tonight. One thing I want to note is that the plan is to submit the revised educational specification with language that supports maintaining an auditorium, but we want to be very upfront that the state regulations, they don't support auditoriums in elementary schools, and so it's highly unlikely that the state will reimburse the city for the auditorium. But given the feeling in the community and the conversation, I believe, in the Hartford School Building Committee, the sentiment about maintaining the auditorium, the plan is for the ed spec to include the fact that we would like to maintain an auditorium at the Wish School. The other change is that with the change in scope, it looks like this will change, anticipating this will change the return to school from August of 26 to August of 27, and that the school will remain in the old Milner building until completion of the project. So I know we do have folks here available to answer questions on that, but that's what's in front of you. And I just want to circle back on the timeline. The reason we're in front of you right now is because we just received word on this from the state on October 4th, and our deadline for submitting a revised educational specification is October 31st.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Superintendent. I'm going to open this up to my colleagues for any questions.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Walker.
Chief Davis Googe, you you are the project whisperer. I too depend on you to talk about this project. So it's, to me, this is not about approving. This is about asking you the narrative. One, how in the world did we get here? You know, how did we get to a situation where we had no idea that the renovation was going to be more pricey than a brand new school? And two, help us to understand the timeline narrative. Clearly there was an anticipated end time, and I think if we act in a certain way, we won't impact that end time, or somehow we won't lose time in getting a new school building built. So can you kind of give the narrative to explain those two issues?
Yes, so I think we have shared in the past that the process for a school construction project is inclusive of Hartford Public Schools, the city, and the state. Some of what Deputy Foster shared is based on the state's process. So when we went through a schematic design process, and I have here with me Mr. Drummy. He is the Director of Capital Improvements, along with Collier's, the project team. And so they can talk more about the technical, so I'll do the high level. The state requires that when we submitted the application, it's an estimate. And then you go through a schematic design, the construction managers come in, I would use the word test the schematic design for cost, and when that happens, they come up with a number. That number then goes to the Hartford School Building Committee and it's vetted. From that point, you also have to do a cost estimate for new. So you get these numbers as a part of the process. You take these two numbers and you submit them to the state, and the state comes back and says, can you renovate as new? Or they actually decide if the project can move forward as a renovate as new. And it came back to us on October 3rd. Although we submitted this information in June, the state came back in October and said that we could not move forward as a renovation as new.
Okay.
Is that clear?
Yeah, so if I can get you to speak to the secondary question of the original proposal had a certain timeline to get the school back into operation. I'm assuming this October 31st deadline is about somehow not impacting that. So what's the narrative around the original proposed back into service plan versus what it'll look like now?
So in this moment, we got this information in October. So you can imagine that from now to October, the approval process with the state will happen in June. So the work will not completely be halted, but we are going to lose those months. And so therefore, that changes the timeline. You have to go back and create a schematic design for the new building, which doesn't mean you're starting from scratch, but you are starting over from the beginning. So the time that it took for the state to respond to us, as well as the time it's going to take for the new design, is going to increase the timeline to the year.
Okay, so in the original plan, when was the school going to get back into service?
August 2026.
What's the new anticipated?
August 2027.
Okay. I'm yielding the floor for others with questions. I certainly could have a few more, but there may be other questions.
Appreciate that. Ms. Brody?
Okay, nice seeing you guys in person. So, comment and then a clarifying question. Comment, any of our write-ups, I think we should be careful on, like when we're identifying classrooms, that we're naming like a partner, because a partner is not permanent. So Family Resource Center and School Store, as opposed to calling out you know, partners that we have, identifying a space for them. It's our space that they're going to be using. Just wanted to mention that. 8 special education classrooms.
So, yes.
So is Wish like a designated school for special education students to have 8 spec classrooms?
So they're not full-size classrooms. It's
Okay.
actually where they would meet in small groups.
Okay. Okay, that was for clarifying. So in regards to the auditorium, I don't want us to get caught in saying we want it. If the state says we can't have it, then we're going to say, oh, well, the city pay for it and there's a holdup and is not able to move forward. So how are we going to prevent any further delay in the project getting approved and underway? So is that something we have to just do internally to say, if the state doesn't say they're going to pay, if the city is not going to pay, we need to just say we're moving forward, because we definitely can't have any further delay to this community who has become a little bit skeptical of, will we get a school? Now you're saying you're going to tear it down, not renovate. So we don't want a further delay. So how are we going to handle that auditorium piece?
So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Drummond.
Thank you, Chief Davis Gouge. Good evening, everyone. Paul Drummey, the Director of Capital Projects and Operations for the City of Hartford. I wanted to introduce Scott Pellman from Colliers, who I think would really be able to explain this quite well. Scott, please.
Good evening, Scott Pellman, Associate Director, Colliers Project Leaders. So what as we continue the discussions, and certainly with the understanding that you know, the state and their statutes won't support an auditorium, we did modify, we have put in the educational specifications for the design team to explore either maintaining just the existing auditorium portion of the building or anticipating a new auditorium. So within their designing it from the get-go as we continue these discussions, that an auditorium would either, the existing one would be incorporated into the new building design, or the provisions would be made for an auditorium to be placed on the building and potentially bid as an alternate while we continue to explore its alternative funding sources and options. So, you know, it would give you the opportunity, if those discussions go in a positive direction, we've planned for it. We're not redesigning, we're not taking a step back. We've incorporated the thought of the need of the community and the wishes of the community to incorporate that program space within the building.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions from my colleagues, maybe online? And if not, Mr. Walker, you can fill the time. I just want to create space for my folks that are on Zoom. Not hearing anything. Mr. Walker. Oh, I am so sorry, Dr. Schmerling. No. Board member, he's ready to vote? Okay. Well, you do have the right to move for the vote if you would like to, sir. You have that option. If you don't want him to talk, you can say move for the vote, and we can move for the vote. Okay, say no more. Mr. Walker.
I think Board Member Brody kind of, I think you took a lot of the question, but I will ask maybe Chief David Scooge, the community involvement here. It feels like, for me, that's a critical piece. I think one of the narratives, I guess I'll give the background, the one thing that in the back of my mind right now was the closure of Simpson Waverly School in that neighborhood, and the neighborhood feeling some woundedness from that happening. So I think now WISH is the last thing. for that neighborhood, and them not having everything they want in that school, I think would be a real loss. So is there a real intentional plan to have community engagement along this path now, since it's going to be elongated? That sounds like there's going to be some options, and how's that going to work? How's the community voice going to be articulated in this project?
So there are two ways. One is just for everyone's notice, a letter went out to the West School community today sharing this information. This team and I meet with the school leadership team to keep them abreast and talk through the design specifications. And in addition, there's an advisory committee that is made up of city members, myself, community members, and an NRZ partner. So that meeting, that committee is called the advisory committee, and from there we share the design specifications as well as take in their feedback and bring it back to the construction team and the architects. In addition, we also go out to the NRZ to have to gain their feedback on what we're planning in the building as well.
Thank you, Chief David Scooge. If I have the privilege to speak across to my colleague, to Dr. Smerling, this would be a tremendous opportunity for a health and wellness center that would be shaped like a gymnasium or auditorium that could be part and adjacent to this school, that I'm sure could be a follow-on to the North End pipeline program that Children's Hospital has been supporting.
The Ascend pipeline, I think we can have some discussions, and we've engaged with the community in conversations about what their needs are, and if this comes up as something that we want to pursue, we should have that discussion. So thank you.
The motion on the floor is that the Hartford Board of Education accepts and approves the revised educational specifications for the renovation of the Fred D. Bush School dated October 16, 2023, and authorizes submission of the documents of the State of Connecticut Office of School Construction Grants and review for purposes of securing construction grant. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any nays? Any abstentions? All right, ayes have it. The motion moves. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you. And just so you know, Ms. Nixon has taken significant notes, and she will be on your back if it is not right. Item 4.5, second reading and adoption of policy 6141.51, challenging curriculum and removal of statement. The motion that the Hartford Board of Education adopt policy 6141.51, challenging curriculum. Furthermore, that it remove the statement below from the policy manual. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly second. Since I believe Dr. Silver is online with us, I believe on Zoom, and so I would be happy to continue with this. But Dr. Silver, just want to be sure if you wanted to take this one.
I defer to you, Pastor AJ. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Policy 6141.51, curriculum challenging. The 2021 legislative session mandated this policy. The goal of this policy is to increase rigorous coursework opportunities for students in grades 8 through 12. Removal statement in 1997 by special act of the legislature, the Hartford Board of Education dissolved and governance of the school district transferred to a state-appointed board of trustees. Local control returned in 2003, 20 years ago. This change removes the statement in our 000 series, clarifying that the school districts is under local governments. The statement reads, for purposes of the policy and administrative manual for the Hartford Public Schools, pursuant to the provisions and terms of Special Act 97-4, an act concerning the Hartford Public Schools, the Hartford Board of Education shall mean the State Board of Trustees. At this moment, I'm going to open up the floor for any discussion or any questions regarding this policy change.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. I apologize, I can't find the hands up.
Yeah, I got you. You're recognized, Ms. Oliver.
Thank you. I think you might have already answered it, and also Dr. Silver. When I review this policy, it seems like it's a policy that we already had on the books. We're changing a statement. But even though it does say that this is challenging curriculum, this actually does not speak to high quality instructional materials. So maybe that's a question more so to Dr. Silver. Is that correct? Like we're just going through compliance to take off the language here to make it appropriate for today. But this really doesn't speak to high quality instructional materials and requiring that.
Thank you so much. If I may, Pastor AJ, answer that question. So this is a mandated policy that was approved by our legislature in 2021. We did have and do have statements regarding challenging curriculum and advanced placement and dual credit coursework that is offered in our schools and is a part of our graduation policy and other policies in our manual. But the specific requirement from the legislature is that we have this challenging curriculum policy. So to your point, Ms. Oliver, it is a compliance policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. That's what I thought, and I would just encourage at one point for the board to consider a policy around high quality instructional materials. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver. Any other questions regarding this policy? Hearing no other questions, the motion on the floor is that the Hartford Board of Education adopt policy 6141.51, challenging curriculum. Furthermore, that it remove the statement below from the policy manual. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? Any abstentions? Motion carries. On to item 4.6. Obviously, this is for first reading of several policies. This is a first reading of policies listed below. Policy 6146, graduation requirements. A statement was returned to the policy to accommodate veterans who left high school to serve in armed conflict, permitting the Board of Education to award an honorary diploma. The statement was extended to include long-standing Connecticut residents who have a significant history of service to the Hartford community and are residents of Hartford. That is that policy. I'm proud of that policy, I must say, and I think it will serve well for those who it affects. Policy 3516.5, safety/sexual offenders on school property. Policy needs to be added to the manual to direct staff and community members on appropriate protocols for ensuring students with guardians appearing on the sexual offender registry have clear processes to follow with school staff and a means of meeting their responsibilities to their children. This policy went, again, this is a first reading, but this policy certainly had some very vibrant discussion on this. Policy 3542.22, Food Service Personnel Code of Conduct. This is a mandated policy identified by our CABE audit as lacking in our policy manual. Policy 3542.41, Food Service Personnel Professional Standards. This is a mandated policy identified by our CABE audit as lacking in our policy manual. Moving on to policy 141.3272, 4118.53, 4218/53, generative AI. This policy is necessary for guidance with emerging artificial intelligence tools. This is the first reading. No vote is required. I do want to open the floor for any questions or comments on the policies under the first reading. All right, not hearing any discussion.
Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Yes, you're recognized.
Back in the early summer or right before summer, our last board meeting, I asked for a presentation that's due to us per policy, the constituents report. We to date still have not received it. I thought it was said that we would receive it in September. By policy, it's to be given to us by the superintendent or her designee. In years past, it always has been, she's designated someone to do that. And it's basically all of the things that happen in a nutshell through the Welcome Center. All of what parents, concerns, complaints, the great things we do, how many homeless families we serve, all of that, trainings that we provide. Over the years, even, you know, before I was a board member, is something that I look forward to because it gives an idea of all the things that our families experience and how we help our families and what we provide to our families. So I enjoyed receiving it many, many years ago, and I'm looking forward to that being a standard report out that we get as a board, and it's a year view. And as I said previously, it helps our community organizations and churches and everyone who supports us and try to support our families also. It lets them know what our families are struggling with, and what goes well and what they can do to assist, you know, our families in Hartford. Particularly, we know that there's an awful amount of violence that is occurring. And I am quite sure it saddens all of us and it concerns all of us because we're serving those families in our school system. So any help, any light on what we could absolutely provide in support, no matter whom the entity is, because it's some organizations and people that support our families that we don't even know of. But at least if we're presenting a report of a snapshot of what happens, those entities can support us better. So I'm hoping that we can get back to the space where Martha Bentham gave us a report every year, because we are not a healthy city, and this could help us help others help us, because we know as a school system we cannot do it alone. So I am asking that report be presented, and that we just continue that tradition, and it's policy, right? It's policy that we get it. It's not just you know, something that I want personally, which I do, but let's please get back to that. Thank you.
Deputy Superintendent.
I'll certainly take that back and make sure we're responsive to that.
I want it to be made known that she acts tonight at 7:42, Tuesday, October 17th, for some kind of response to that, and I think it is healthy, and we do miss Martha Bentham. She was definitely a value to the Hartford Public School System. Well, thank you all so much for being a...
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I have a request.
Yes, certainly.
Because we are doing the graduation requirements and not for discussion tonight, but can someone send, there was some data that we went through a few years ago where we, it was what the state requires, where Hartford Public Schools and where's our surrounding districts in terms of graduation requirements. In particular, there was a lot of conversation around the total credits and the state was moving. Admittedly, that's been a few years. So if someone could just share that information again via email before the next meeting, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was had a problem finding the unmute button, like on Zoom. Yes, I see Mr. Foster taking some notes, and I believe that he can get back to you. This is his first time sitting up here with us, and I'm sure he'll get back to you in 48 hours.
Thank you.
All right. Thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight and being a part of our Board of Education meeting. And we thank all of the staff and faculty that's here. And if you have a question, we're ending our meeting and we will address your question.
Hang on before you hit the gavel. Do we need a motion to adjourn?
No, I'm about to just adjourn right now.
Perfect. Then hit the gavel.
The October 17th Hartford Board of Education meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you. Bye-bye.